Welcome, everybody, to 5 Questions with LeRoy Butler. And boy, we got a lot of questions to go to today.
Yeah, quite a bit.
I mean, there's it's never dull around Packerland, especially with all these injuries that are going on.
It seems like you media guys are scared of McCarthy when y'all ask him about media. He shuts you guys down.
He tries, not me, but, of course, I stand up to him all the time. Remember a week ago, he was all over me
I know,
a
right?
week ago, right?
That's why you're my favorite.
Yeah, right. Whatever. Anyway,
so what do you think?
So injuries. Now, Randall Cobb out 6 to 8 weeks, put on injured reserve with designated to return. Means he can come back in 8 weeks.
Yep.
James Jones, we know he's got a sprained ligament in his knee. Could play this week. I would doubt it.
Yeah.
Nick Perry got some kind of broken bone in his foot.
Right.
Don't know if it's serious one or if it's something he can play with later.
Yeah.
This is they're pretty depleted right now.
Yeah, and I think the difference between 2010 when they had 17 guys out, these are starters. And not only are they started, they're impact players with Nick Perry, Cobb. These guys are impact guys because remember, Perry was replacing Matthews. And
doing a good job.
And he was doing
too.
a great job. But I think one of the biggest plays is causing a fumble. Dayton Jones picking it up. I said that's what Matthews normally does.
Right.
So he was filling in that that void. But this was the most satisfying win. Okay, as a defensive player, obviously, a little biased.
Right.
In McCarthy's tenure, maybe top 3. You remember they went to the Jets and beat them 9-6 or something.
9-0.
Yeah, right. And Howard Green was a guy, a street free agent, was there. And something you touched on earlier, all these laundry lists of young guys that people don't know who are stepping up making plays.
The 2 new guys now to replace Cobb are Miles White, coming off the practice squad, young wide receiver. They lost Charles Johnson, who was on the practice squad. Cleveland signed him on Saturday.
I bet they'll release him after next week.
Yeah, and I'll bet you he regrets. I wonder if he regrets. I mean, he would. There's no way he would have known James Jones and Cobb were going to go out Sunday.
True.
But anyway, Miles White, and then Jake Stoneburner is been brought up. And to me, the Stoneburner move especially, he played some wide receiver at Ohio State, but to me that indicates Jermichael Finley is going to be playing wide receiver. Do you agree?
I agree, especially in the slot position. That's the biggest void right now. 87 is always going to be your guy outside, but Stoneburner will bring in maybe the tight end that moves a lot. And now Jermichael Finley can go what we call the E receiver. That'll be in the slot. That way you can still run your play action. You can still run some of the other perimeter stuff that you like to do. But again, without James Jones, another outside target, Boykin has to step up, Tom. He has to come. And, him and Aaron was a little off a little bit.
Yeah, they were.
So if they can do that, then they got 3 core guys to go into the passing game. Otherwise, they're going to struggle, and hopefully this defense can carry them.
Okay, let me ask you this now. You're Cleveland's defensive coordinator, Ray Horton, and you're used to having to defend a Cobb, a Greg Jennings in the slot, a quick guy, who can take it deep, can run with the ball. What do you do now? You've got, let's say you got Boykin, Nelson, and Finley. How do you defend those 3? It's a little different not having a guy like Cobb in there.
Well, Joe Hayden is the top 3 corner in the league out of Florida. I put him on 87. I roll the coverage towards 88, and Boykin has to beat you.
Right.
And then everybody else is going towards the quarterback. So you can see Cleveland being very aggressive up front, and they could just rush 4 or 5 and play cover 2 all day and just force Green Bay to either run the football or dink and dunk it. Because with their offense, a big play offense with Josh Gordon, a guy I wish was in a Packer uniform, and Greg Little, 2 tall, big receivers, they figure, hey, we can get some opportunities down the field and make this a shootout. But if you're the Green Bay Packers, and I know we get a little complacent and get a little arrogant and say if Aaron Rodgers is a quarterback, we got a chance. And that's what it's going to come down to.
But I look back to, I think it was Kansas City, who was the first team who played bump and run man under. So they played the two safeties over the top in a zone, and then had their corners come up, and that bothered the heck out of the Packers. And that's because they didn't. I think Greg Jennings was out at the time, and Cobb hadn't formally, gotten into the offense. Could we see that? Is it a possibility?
I think so. I think you'll see the Packers go back to what we're going to talk about at X's and O's. They're going to go back to a bunch technique to where you can get 3 receivers in together. That eliminates the bump and run.
Yeah.
But the problem is the Packers don't run a lot of that. They spread the guys out, so it's easy for Joe Hayden to go up and bump Nelson man-to-man and just lock him down. As we've seen what Brandon Carr did when he was in Kansas City.
Exactly.
He just went up on 87 and just locked him down. It was just difficult to throw the football.
It's funny, Pac-Man Jones, when talked after the Cincinnati game, said, what was your strategy against them? Bump, bump, press the whole game. So they don't like, Packers receivers, sometimes have some issues with bump coverage. So that'll be interesting to watch on Sunday. Another issue, as a result of these injuries, the Packers now have 14 rookies on the roster. That is roughly 1/4 of the roster is rookies.
How many was undrafted?
Like six of them are undrafted free agents. Incredible amount. Maybe they're lucky that they're going through the soft part of their schedule, but these guys are going to have to grow up in a hurry. And this puts tremendous pressure on McCarthy and his staff, doesn't it?
Yeah, absolutely, especially when you're looking at the depth. Because normally the guys on special teams, now they're starters.
Right.
So now you got to say, well, where's my special teams going to come from?
Yeah.
And just like Ryan Taylor blocking that punt, that's a guy that now has to play. So now if you're the coaching staff, you're scrambling to find out who's going to be on my nickel, my dime, and all these formations that they like to run on offense and defense. And it's an exceptional coaching job right now. And I know a lot of people have said, you read a lot of blogs and people talking about the Packers should make trades and bring in free agents. They don't like to do that.
Yeah.
They're drafting development, and they want these guys, as you alluded to grow up fast and make big plays.
Right. And like I said, that puts tremendous pressure on the coaches to get those guys ready to play.
One thing I can say there real quick is about the Green Bay Packers. They're the best 2 kickers in the league. That helps. So if the offense is struggling, you got a kicker that can pin them down and make them go 80 or 90 yards. Right. And you got a field goal kicker who's only missed once. If he can continue to do that, sooner or later, they're going to make big plays.
Right. Let's talk about A.J. Hawk. I thought he played the best game he's played in his entire career. And it wasn't just because he got 3 sacks. I thought it was because he was decisive. He didn't hesitate, he just went after it. Why do you think that was? Is it possible, that without Clay Matthews, he decided to take it upon himself to play like that? Or what do you think got into him?
This year, and this is a bold statement. Sean Lee, I think, is the best middle linebacker, number 50 for Dallas. Brian Cushing's a good inside linebacker. And Patrick Willis, who's been hurt. A.J. Hawk is playing better than all of those guys. He's been doing something that we've been waiting to see for a long time. You have that turn, I'll run through a wall for you. He's been doing that, Tom. On a couple of his sacks, he's running through. Most guys will run to impact, assuming the lineman is going to block you. He's running through. I don't care if you block me or not. I got to get this quarterback. And I love the fact that the defensive coordinator, Don Capers, all the coaches are saying, you know what, this guy, he's the focal point right now of this defense. He is playing out of his mind. And like you said, his read, react, and he's just running. I mean, the guy's playing out of his mind. If he can continue that, everybody around him will step their game up. But I'm just proud of the way that A.J. Hawk, we looked at a play earlier in X's and O's. He could have had a 4th sack, and we'll talk about that later. But when you have your leaders stepping up like that, it makes everybody elevate their game.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, well, when we come back for X's and O's, please tune in for that. We're going to look at some issues in the secondary that continue to drive you to pull your hair out, correct?
As a defensive back, these are the kind of plays you wish never can get on film, but they are, and we're going to correct them, so don't worry, Packer fans.